Okay, so I'm at the stage now where I want to start putting some notes and dimensions onto my drawings. So I'm going to start with the ground floor plan that you can see here, the proposed ground floor plan. And so I'm going to go through from the very beginning with my text style setup. So the easiest way to get to that is on the Home tab. If you click on the little down arrow there next to where it says Annotation, and then next to the first drop down there, you've got a button for the text style. So I'm going to click the New button to make a new style, and I'm going to call it Notes. And then I'll get a basic font that I want for my basic notes. And so I'll use that. So yes. Okay, so I'll use maybe I'll give you a couple of options actually. So Roman S is a nice, very simple one. Just a single line font. So Roman S means Roman simplex. But if you want to use a more interesting font, the Swiss fonts are generally pretty good. So Swiss CNBT is a condensed font. And so then, once you've chosen your font, you should tick Annotative and then set the height you want it to print. So I'm going to make this 2.5, even though you can go down to 2 mil. I'm going to try making my notes 2.5, so they're not the absolute smallest size they can be. And then set current to make it the current style. That's it. So it's the three things: the font, annotative, and then the height. So I'll close this, and then I'm going to change to my annotation layer. And I'll switch files, so I'll make a new annotation layer. I'm just going to call it Anno. And I'll just make the line weight 0.25, and I'll leave the colour white, and I'll make that the current layer. Okay, so then to draw the text, we need to know the scale of the drawing it's going to appear on. So down the bottom right corner, I'm going to set this to 1 to 50 before I then draw my text. Okay, so then I'm going to put a simple note. So again here, just using the text tool now, and I'll use single line text. So clicking on the down arrow there, I'm going to click single line text, and then click a point for that text, and it'll then ask me for an angle. So there you can see on the command line it's asking to specify rotation angle, but it has 0 in brackets, so I'm going to press enter to keep it as 0, and then my note is simply going to be PB, oops, uppercase, PB, for plasterboard. So it's really simple, but again, it's important you can at least get text like that to work. So that's single line text. And I'll show you what happened if I change the scale. I might just change that to 1 to 100. And I'll just repeat that. So again, single line text. And again, it's asking for rotation, so enter to keep it 0, and then again, PB. So by changing the scale, it's going to give me a new text height, essentially. So I'll put this back to 1 to 50, and then continue on and make some more text. So now I want to make some text using a leader. So again, clicking on the annotation panel, and then you can see down below the text, we've got the section for leaders. So clicking on the little down arrow there, you'll see the leader styles. We've only got a couple. And then next to that as well, you've got the button to make a new leader style. So this time I'm going to change to the annotative style. And then click Modify, and then change to the Content page, and choose Notes, my text. Everything else should be okay. So I'm just going to maybe change the arrows. It's up to you what arrow style you use, but I'll choose one of these. So maybe the open, also the right angle, might be okay. So then to draw a leader, you've got the leader button in the annotation panel. I'm going to click a point for my arrow to go. Turn ortho off, so I can place that anywhere. And then I'll put in my text. So it's going to be plasterboard lined. Stud framed wall. Okay, so you can see there the size isn't right, so I've got to go back and check my style. So there was obviously something there I've got to change. So back to the multi-leader style. Oh, so I didn't check the standard style, so it's still using standard. So I'm going to choose annotative, set current, and then close. And rather than fix this one, I might just go and draw that again. So again, using leader, and again, place that. So that's better. Stud framed wall. Okay, so we can change the width of that, and then the arrowhead hasn't scaled properly, so again back to the leader style, and then modify, and the size there should be scaling, it should be annotative. For some reason it's not picking up the scale properly, so I'm just going to manually multiply that, even though it should be picking up the style. Okay, so I'll make that 4 times 50, which is 200. That shouldn't be necessary, but hang on there. So let's check that. I'll do another one next one. Now it's too big, I think. Okay, that's changed. Sometimes you have to give it a few goes to make it work properly. You can see now, if I go back into here, leader's always a bit strange with annotative, but once you get it working, it's actually pretty good. So, okay, so I'll just do one more. There we are. Okay, so just to prove to you that I'm not making it up, what I've done there, I've just put it back to 4, which is what it was. And now it's working. So I'll make it 2, and then to fix these ones, you can just select it, and then in properties you can change it. One of those annoying things, leaders for some reason with annotative, they just have a few little errors. But then once you get it working, like I've got it now, then it'll work from that point onwards. So if I do a leader now, again we can just put in an arrow to test it, and the text as well. You can see that's working just fine. And so the advantage of having it set up like that is that now I can go to my page, sorry, this one, and so I can do all of those things in Paperspace as well. So here now drawing on the page, if I need to draw a note that goes off the page or outside the viewport, show you. Okay, so you can see there that one's coming with the same arrowhead, and the text there is the same size, even though I'm drawing it on the page. So then the final thing is the dimensions. So going now to the dimension style. And I've already got a dimension style, but I'll do a brand new one from scratch just to show you all the steps. So I'll start with annotative, because you'll have that one. So even if you haven't done anything with dimensions yet, you'll have that annotative style. And then I'm going to click New, and I'll call it CC. That's fine, actually, just CC. Make sure annotative is ticked, and then hit Continue. So I'm going to go through from the right-hand side, starting with primary units. And there, a lot of these you can use your own judgment for the settings, but I'm going to start with the position there, and for now set that to 0. So I don't want any decimal places after the measurement there. So you can see there, if you've got 0.0, puts in 1 decimal place. So again, I don't need any, but in case I do have decimals later, I'm going to still change the decimal separator to a period instead of a comma. That's very important. But again, precision I'll still leave at 0. I'll just put it to 0.0 so you can see there when it changes from a comma to a period. Then the angles though, I'm going to set to have 1 decimal place. On the Fit tab, you need to check that annotative is ticked. On the Text tab, I'm going to use the Notes style that I set up earlier. Under Symbols and Arrows, I'm going to change the arrowheads to architectural tick. Leave all those sizes as they are. And then on the Lines tab, I'm going to change the offset from origin to 5. And I'm going to tick fixed length extension lines and make those 10. And everything else I'll leave as is. Yeah. That's a pretty good setup for dimensions, and you can see over here in the preview, when it's working, you'll see what all those settings do. If this doesn't look right, it's usually because of the problem with the scale. And I'll click OK, and then make sure it's the current style. If it's not, then you can just select it and click Set Current. So I'll close this, and now I can draw some dimensions. So I'm going to draw a linear dimension. So on this floor plan, the most important thing is that I set out that wall. Remember, the outside walls are all existing, so we don't need to dimension those. So I need to dimension from the existing wall to the new wall. And place a measurement down there. And then I can see it's 2064. So that's not really a very good measurement to give people. So I'm going to go back to my dimension style and modify it. On the Primary Units tab, I'm going to change Round Off to 5. So it rounds off to the nearest 5 mil. And that's what the builders will do as well when they're building it. If they see a measurement like that, 2064, they will build it to the nearest 5. So 2065, you can see there that's much better. So then, now I can draw another dimension using linear and dimension the wall itself. And then another one going from the existing wall again to the corner of my new wall. I'll place a dimension over on this side this time. And you can see how, because of the dimension settings, it's making those lines all the same length. And then I'll put in another dimension for the length of that wall. Line them up exactly. And another one from the corner to the existing. And then finally we need, that's it actually, sorry, no, that's fine. That's it. So that's enough to be able to build that wall. So again, any dimensions that measure these existing walls are just going to make it confusing. And then finally, I've got to check that that's all showing properly on my sheets, and yes, it is. That's fine. Okay, so those three things are most important: text style, dimension style, and multi-leader styles. Maybe not in that order. Maybe you text and multi-leaders you do it together at the beginning, and then dimension styles after that. Okay, so I'll save that video.